Welcome to What's New in AL 2022 Wave 1, version 21, the Hacker Edition. Hey, I'm Eric, and it's midnight here in British Columbia, but Microsoft has just released version 21 of Business Central, and with that we also get a new version of the AL compiler, and it has kind of become a tradition here on the channel that in order to celebrate, if that's the right word, I take a look at what's new in AL and perhaps crank up the old decompiler and check the DLLs for what's in them versus what's in the changelog and what's in the promised list, because Microsoft are using waves, and yeah, we got version 20.0, and that's the first part of 2022 wave 2, which is a 6-month period. So the only thing Microsoft really has promised us is that, hey, all the stuff that we have been talking about that is coming in wave 2, it's not here today necessarily. It comes in this wave. So don't get surprised when there's a lot of stuff coming into 21.1 and some stuff coming into 21.2, and then it typically trickles off. But it's not necessary that we get everything today. But we get a fair amount, and I think we should take a quick look at it together and see what's it about. And one of the main purposes of this video is also for you guys to give you a chance to let me know in the comments which one of these things deserves a dedicated video, which one deserves a deep dive, which ones we don't care about. So the comments are important. And here's a little secret. This is late night, but Microsoft are actually watching this video, and they are also reading the comments. So it's a great way if you got something you want to tell them. Okay, back to the regular thing here. So anyway, let's get right to this, and the best place to start is right here at Docs. So we looked at this list when it first came out, and the list was short and boring. The list is longer now, so let's have a quick look on that, because there's some cool things here. And now we don't care about application and country and region and governance, all of that. We're just going to look at development, and some of these are not really the compiler and stuff like that. So and right off the bat, connect to Azure function from AL code. Well, this is one of the ones that kind of proved my point that, hey, it's not here yet. They say October 2022, but maybe that's 10.1 or 10.2. It's not here yet, but it looks like this is going to be a wrapper code unit for easily connecting to Azure functions. So that's pretty cool, or however that may be. So looking forward to that one. Then there's a bunch of stuff with permissions. Let's see if we can find a good link and look at that. We got application areas. So you have seen me way too many times type application area equal all on every time I need to put something in on a page, or that is no longer necessary. You can put it on the put a default value on the page, and then all controls on the page will inherit the default value. So that is pretty cool and way overdue. Apply code actions across objects and projects. So there's a video on code actions already on the channel, but didn't really have the options to do a wide scope and say do this on my entire project. So we can do that now. That is pretty cool, especially the add the rec dot in front of the implicit statements. So very cool. Applies resource exposure policy to dev extensions. So imagine a scenario where there's a sandbox, and on the sandbox there's perhaps multiple partners doing stuff, like a big project, multiple partners, and maybe you don't want to share your things with the other partners, and even though sharing is caring, then sharing through the debugger might not be something you want to do. So now you can tell that even though something is dev deployed, that it should not be available for debugging. So that's nice. We got a new UI action, the split bomb, so the improved modern action bar. I'm sure there's going to be more than one video on that coming. So I'm not going to go into detail right now here. Define app entitlements to map permission sets to AppSource monetization licenses. Okay, so Microsoft is kind of ramping up. So in 2022 release wave 2, AppSource apps for Business Center will be able to opt into AppSource transactability based on credit card payments and per user licensing. Well, not right now. So be aware that this general availability that's here, that's the part where we can define a entitlement that can be connected to something in the future, where you define that if you buy a certain thing on AppSource, somehow then that is linked to this entitlement. Entitlement is a new word for license, basically. So you get entitlement to a certain set of objects, and so if you have paid, you get access to the object. If you do not have paid, then you do not get access, or you get only read access, or however it's gonna work. But at least they are moving in the right direction, and well, this is at least 3 years too late for a lot of partners, but it's great this year. Let's continue. Define custom actions in AL code. I love this title, because what is a custom action? Well, a custom action is actually be able to put a flow into the action bar. So you can have a menu item or an action in the action bar that triggers a flow. That's nice, I guess. There's still something. There's still something about this that I'm not sure. The challenge with this is that, hey, this is hard coded, right? The ID of the flow sits in here, and the environment of the flow. So this can only be very PTE'd, and if something changes on flow, we will have to redeploy the object. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Microsoft are actually how they're telling this story, because to me, this is. I think actually this would be something that would be awesome for me to add to the simple object design, and where customers can add in their own flows. Say, I need this flow here as a menu. I think this is born to work with the object designer, where customers can go themselves in and add stuff. But otherwise, I'm a bit worried about the hardcodeness versus how fluffy flow actually is in a lot of cases. Anyway, next. Enable no implicit width feature by default. So now we can somewhere tell that, hey, no more implicit width. That will be a setting in app.json. Pretty good. We haven't really done explicit width for years now, because we have all used the analyzer that gives us a warning on that, and then we remove it. Exclude temporary records when debugging record writes. So if you do something that would trigger a break and it's actually a temporary table, then you can tell that in the launch JSON setting, the break on record write, that exclude temporary. Haven't really been troubled by that, but that might be nice for some folks. This one, on the other hand, exclude try functions when debugging, because this has really been, I have been annoyed about this and loudly to Microsoft. So thank you for this. So if you use certain functions, then they are filled with, like if you use certain code units, I could mention the Azure blob storage code units, some of the CRM code units. There's a bunch of places now that are filled with try functions, and try functions that, the default might be even to trigger the error to test something. So if you're debugging a certain thing, then you're getting breaks inside these try functions, and quite often the source code is not available. So you just get these blank screen breaks, and then you have to go F5, 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 and then you're missing the one that's important suddenly. So this is great. I love this, that you can specify in break on error in launch JSON that you can say exclude try. That is cool, and I love that. IntelliSense for defining sorting on data view properties now includes the table keys, and I think this one will in some cases IntelliSense had been missing for available table keys when you wanted to set sorting on keys, so we can see the keys. We got another friend of that one here. The record tooltip now has a new primary key indicator, which, remember, the old one just had an asterisk saying this field is a primary key member, but there's no way of so if we're in here and we go something, and we're in here and we got, let's actually get some, I should have done a 21 before I did this video, but hey, my default Docker is still 20. If it's even there, it might have gone. This is late night. I might not have a Docker running. Looks that way. In that case, forget about that. We will continue without a Docker. Maybe it will come back at some point. No, it's not there. You know what? We can do that in the background. This is late night videoing. So you see what we're gonna do? Somewhere on another screen, I'm totally gonna fire up a Docker image while we talk, or fire up a container. That's probably more correct. Anyway, let's continue while that is doing its thing. We got IntelliSense, launch in a specific company. So that has, especially when you have lots of companies, that it's kind of hit and miss what company your debug session will open in. So now we got an option to tell that. Again, this is launch JSON, so we can now specify a startup company. So that is actually pretty nice. That is actually pretty nice. New command to generate or update AL permission set. So we had the old create an XML function. Then we kind of all reverted to the AL create a permission set because Microsoft did not have one. So we have one now. Promoted action group and action references. So this is basically the modern action bar. That's gonna get covered in more videos than one, I'm pretty sure. We talked about the tooltip. Resource exposure policies for apps are on by default. So back in the day, can you even say that at this point? Well, I think we can. We are, and this is crazy. We are at version 10 now of AL, version 10. Remember, NAV 2018, that was version 0. So we have been slowly getting up there, and now we're at version 10. So this is, no, Linux just changed to version 6, so we are ahead of Linux. No, we're not. But this product is actually getting pretty mature. So 10 releases of this is actually amazing. Anyway, back in the day, in the good old days, where we just had a setting called show my code. And the default was show my code true. So when you deployed something, you could right click or not right click, you click on the 3 dots, and then you would get the ability to download the source from apt deployed extension. Then we got the resource exposure policy, and suddenly nothing could be downloaded anymore. And I've seen too many examples of customers that have an app running. Nobody knows where the source code is for this app. They have an app, they have no clue. Some dude created the app at some point, and there's no repo, there's no nothing. There's an app sitting in the Business Central, and you cannot download the source. So unless you're in the, truly in I need to protect my IP, and my customers know that I'm protecting my IP, so they they know how to get the source code or whatever, agreement has been made. No, don't be a dick. Just make the source code downloadable, because at some point it's gonna happen to you that you need to download something that somebody else has created, and then you'll be pretty happy if you can download it. Anyway, so Microsoft starts switching back to default is doing the right thing. So I like that. I like that. See the primary key for table. We talked about that. I see the primary key for table fields in IntelliSense. Oh, that's because so we can see that we can both see it in tooltip and in IntelliSense. So it's the same thing, just shown in different ways. Use option access syntax for formulas. So sometimes if you're describing I think there's a good example here. Source table view, where you used to, if you need to put in a table number, you have to write the number. Now you can do database : customer. So just a bit nicer, more readable, and you don't run into the situation if you renumbered something that the old number is still sitting somewhere. So we like that. We can now see SQL logs when we're debugging. Let me know if that's interesting to do a video about. Visualize code lines executed in snapshot capture. Yeah, let me know if you want to. Are you using snapshot capturing? Are you using snapshot debugging? Snapshot. Are you using that, or do you care about more videos about that? There's one video on the channel about it. Should we do another one? Comments. Access database row version from ALCO. So access the database row version from ALCO, so we can see the version of the record. Not really something that I have had a need for, but it's probably nice. Define inherent entitlements as a developer. So I think this is the one where an object can inherit entitlements. More about it. I think we need an entitlements video when all these things are out. So this is not available yet. Developers can write faster upgrade code. So this is a new data transfer object type that basically can do raw data copy. I think that we're gonna do a video on that one, but a way to very, very fast move data in an upgrade situation. And recently, when I was at Microsoft, I asked, "Hey, I want to do this not only on upgrades. There's lots of places where I could use something like this to move data faster," and then they just smiled at me. So I'm not sure what that meant, but just hoping. Anyway, 3 to go. So use byref XML port parameters in OData. So in SOAP we had the ability to put an XML port as a parameter on a function exposed in a function in a code unit, and that code unit exposed as SOAP, and then there was kind of a complex an object we can pass in the SOAP world. Now we are getting the same thing on OData. I'm still slightly confused why Microsoft chose this. I think everybody is asking for the ability to just have a JSON object or JSON array as a parameter for something that is exposed by OData, but let me know in the comments. I think this is a good one for comments. Is this too little, too late, or is this the greatest thing ever? Let me know. ALGo for GitHub. Yeah, we're gonna do a video on that at some point. So now we got ALGo. We have always have ALGo. That was like the first thing Microsoft coded in Visual Studio Code, the ability to create a new project and set up the launch JSON and the app JSON and so on. But what if we want DevOps on repos and everything? So that's AL for GitHub, ALGo for GitHub. And then the last one kind of snuck in here. Even you can see that this one we got that. So this is interesting, right? Public preview now, but general availability just before version 22 is out. So what's up with that? That's okay. Anyway, this is more about the invoice posting buffer table project and conflicts with localizations and so on. Not really a AL thing per se. Okay, so let's time is flying. We're already 25 minutes in. So that's the list. And if we, so this is one list. So we're going to do 3 things in this video. I should have opened with that. So we're looking here. So this is Microsoft marketing telling us something. This is Microsoft. This is like catered information. But there's also another list which is kind of becoming way more interesting, and that is if you're in here somewhere in Visual Studio Code and you go to the extension, then you can open the AL language and you can see that we are now on version 10.0.98 something, and there's a changelog in here, and this changelog is actually getting pretty good. What's kind of weird here is that we have version 10.1 in the changelog and we only had 10.0. So the first thing apparently we get back is the print only if detail. And I'm not sure, at this point I don't understand this line in docs anymore. Available or changed with runtime version 1.0. But this one, yeah, it says only supported by Business Central on-prem. So now we got a report.print only if details function, and for some reason that has not been available in the cloud. It will. Well, so here's the thing. Do we have that now or do we not have that now? And so this is the second thing. The third place we can go look is actually in the code. So as I said, I fired up the old decompiler and looked at one of the language DLLs that are sitting inside VS Code. And so we can see. And the great thing about this, that when, let's see if we, did we actually get symbols here? No. That's weird. We got Microsoft symbols, but not the other one. Oh, I guess that's okay. Anyway, so when we do something in here in app.json, ooh, haha, it says 20. You see that? It defaulted. I said AL go and I said version 10, but then I at this late night I connected to a version 9. There we go. Now we're good. But in here we have a runtime. So depending on what we set here, we can say runtime 1.0, and then there's a bunch of stuff you can see that does not work because that was not part of 1.0. Then we can try 2.0 and see if this is better. A 3.0, now we got ID ranges, right? 7.0, we still do not have resource exposure policies. We got that one in 8. So this thing is controlling what version of the system you're connecting. And the only way that, not the only way, but the way that works is that everything in here is tagged. So I'm now looking at the source code of the decompiled source code from the AL compiler. So if I go and say, okay, what actually happened in 8.0, I find everything that is tagged with 8.0, and somewhere in here I can find that there's something will show my code, but there's also the exposure policies because that came in 8.0. So all that is tagged with 8.0. And in the last video, a while ago, half a year ago exactly, we did look at 9.0, and the list was fairly short. And since 9.0, we can see what happens before we got to 10. Did Microsoft do stuff? 9.1, they did something obsolete stuff somewhere. What did we do in 9.2? 9.2, we looked at something with inherited permissions. They did. And nothing in 9.3, nothing 9.4, nothing in 9.5. So now we're up till 10.0, and we see that there's a list here. So if we go back to this guy, so we can actually see, hey, hang on, changelog 10.1. So what happens if we put 10.1 into this one? We do get something. We get print only if detail. So this is tagged with 10.1 in the 10.0 compiler, which I guess that's a, I don't know. So it's there, even though it's so the changelog is right. This thing is here, and simple compilation scope is cloud. So we're good. But strange. Anyway, so we can see we got some GitHub issues solved. That is nice. The rant here is that all the GitHub issues I posted, at some point they just got closed and say, hey, we don't have time to look at them, so go check if they happen to be fixed anyway. I was kind of, well, I spent my time putting in those issues, and they just closed them down the box. Anyway, some people got their stuff fixed, which is cool. So there's certainly bugs. We got the new AL object data transfer, and if we go look at 10.0, we can see, yes, we get a data transfer. Oh, hang on, where'd it go? Data transfer class here. So it's in here. Update audit fields, source table, destination table, source field, destination field, source filter, add join, copy fields, copy rows. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here ready to go. So that is cool. We saw that the option constants in formulas, that's good. There's a new UI cop rule. A warning is reported when an action group with its visibility set to false contains the target actions of one or many action refs. So this is part of the new modern action thingy. So there's a couple of warnings, which is good. The snapshot debug shows all lines hit by a snapshot succession. Yeah, before you had to put a million breakpoints if you really want to see what happens. So this is clearly better. We got the break on error and break on record write. So if we go and look up here, see if we can find that. So the app file, we got the apply to dev extension resource exposure policy. I wonder where we get, if we get, that's interesting. So I think, no, okay, this is clear. This is, sorry, late night brain. So all the changes to launch JSON are not part of the compiler. Launch JSON is part of the environment. You control the environment. So you can compile your app without having a launch JSON, but you need that when you need to debug. So of course it will not show up in this list. I should have thought of that. Leave a comment if you think that I should have thought of that. Anyway, so we got the break on error. We got the break on record write. That's good. We got all the new permission sets, and so we got the ability to say exclude permission sets, and I think in here there is a pretty good, this one. So I'm gonna do a video on this just because I truly need to wrap my head around this. But the idea here is that if we assign in this case, permission set 5 to user. This one says include permission set 4, exclude permission set 3. So permission set 4 says include 2 and 3. 2 said include 1. So if you assign 4 to somebody, then you get 1, 2, 3, 4. If you assign 5 to somebody, then you get 1, 2, 4, 5. Because we are now excluding 3 on that one. So this is going to be great from, you know, Microsoft does the full access and so on, and now right now we are forced to copy a permission set, and then we copy one of those, and then we remove stuff, and then some updates come along, like version 21. Microsoft add new objects to it in order, maybe even in order to log in or anything like that. But then your permission set breaks because you have not added those new objects to it, and there's no communication on deltas. So Microsoft is not saying, hey, we have added all these objects to the existing permission sets. You guys who copy it, this is what you need to do on yours. That communication does not exist. It would be cool if it did. It would be very beneficial, but I haven't seen it. And yeah, we could do some, you know, comparing and stuff like that. But anyway, so we are getting that, which is pretty cool. Permissions. We got the apply the code action to document project or solution scope. We talked about that, like fix the implicit width. We talked about the resource exposure policy. We talked about the flow thing. I'm still not convinced about that one since I talked about it 10 minutes ago. We talked about entitlements. The system row version timestamp field is not available for tables. Added last used row version and minimum actual row version. So I think, see if that is actually done. Let's check here. No, let's actually, we can just go. Let's do this. There we go. So we got last used row version and minimum actual row versions, and we can see that those are tagged with version 10. So that is correct. Add a new parameter to the launch.json that allows you to open a specific company. And then I guess that's a bug in the so here's this one, should probably be a new line. The T-report snippet now includes the default rendering layout property. If you're using snippets, I'm not much of a snippet guy. But nice that they're actually updating those. AL enable code action settings now enabled by default. So maybe somebody from Microsoft saw the video where I spent a video actually turning this on, these secret settings, turning them on. And it's kind of a shame that they were not available out of the box. Nobody knew that they were there and how to turn them on. So that's good, cool. Option types are now always considered equal since they are wrapper of the integer type. So you can compare option types, I think is what they're saying. Fix the bug that prevents loading .NET types which are subject of type forwarding. I don't care about .NET types since we cannot use them in the cloud. Fixed hover. Display intelligence now suggests we got all that. Suggest keys, controls and actions, inherit application area. That is good. We got the rulers updated. Add command to generate permission sets. I think this is pretty much actually improved performance. That's always nice. One thing I have noticed, I think that the AL compiler has become better at actually caching credentials. I have not had to type authenticate as often as I used to do. with version 9. So that might be good. Go to definition, now works for xref, core page, all that is good. New feature, AL translation items in. So we didn't see anything about this. AL translation item in the app.json manifest. It creates all possible translation units. This should also be used when another app wants to translation this app in order to give them all translation labels. Yeah, we'll have to try that one out. I have AL transition items. Yeah. No, hang on. That's an old one. A 4.0. AL. Okay. I need to understand that, because I think that one I missed. If you know, tell me in the comments. So let's just do the check if there's anything, because now we're already at 40 minutes. This is way too long video. So what do we have that is tagged for version 10? We got inherit permission scope. We got inherit entitlements. We got a caption on what? Oh, page actions. So this is all, these are page action ref. This is all for the new modern action bar stuff. We got the exposure policy. We got the last used row version and minimum version. We looked at data transfer and inherited permission scope. That was a lot. So it's nice to know that somebody other than me are busy. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're still awake, because I'm going straight to bed after this. Let me know in the comments if there's something that I missed. Let me know in the comments if there's something. Hey, Eric, you need to do a video on this. And other than that, you know the drill. Check this one out for more AL stuff. This is a good one. See you there. Take care. Good night.